Welcome! Today, we are opening up the ultimate playbook for software projects. You know how it is, so many of them go completely off the rails. They can be complex, a little chaotic, and super costly. But what if you had a clear strategy to cut through all that chaos and actually, win? Let's dive in.
Okay, let's start with a pretty staggering number. A major US study of thousands of projects found that a whopping 82% of them were late. And on top of that, 43% went over budget. Now, that study was from 2003, but I think we can all agree things don't feel all that different today, do they? This isn't just some small inconvenience, it's a huge problem that wastes an incredible amount of money, time, and talent.
So why does this keep happening? Well, it's not some mystery. A lot of the time, it's simply a lack of a solid, proven approach. Projects fail when they don't have a good plan, but here's the good news. This doesn't have to be the case. Failure might be common, but it is absolutely not mandatory.
And that really is the question, isn't it? How do you build a project that actually wins? One that's on time, on budget, and, delivers real value. It's not about luck. It's about having the right playbook. And that's exactly what we're going to build right now, breaking it down into 3 absolutely critical phases.
First up, we've got to figure out if a project is even worth doing in the first place. I'm telling you, this is the single most important step, making that call before anyone writes a single line of code.
So, what is project evaluation? Well, think of it like a critical checkpoint, a go or no-go decision gate. This is the moment you ask the really tough questions. We're not talking about how to build it yet. We're asking, should we build this at all? Does it actually line up with where the organization wants to go?
And why is this so critical? Because skipping this step is a recipe for disaster. It's how you end up with a project that's way over budget, hopelessly late, and adds zero value to the business. A proper evaluation helps you control costs, manage risks from the start, and make sure you're working on something that actually matters. You get this first step right, and believe me, your chances of success just skyrocket.
So how do you actually do this evaluation? Well, it really boils down to 3 key assessments. First, there's the strategic fit. Does this thing actually push us toward our long-term goals? Second, the technical check. Can we realistically build this? Do we have the right tech, the right people, the right software? And finally, the economic piece. Is this a good investment? Are the benefits really, truly going to outweigh the costs?
Okay, so your project passed the evaluation. It's a go. Awesome. But the work is just beginning. Now we slide into phase 2 of our playbook, analyzing and improving the actual process of how all the work gets done.
See, once a project is up and running, you can't just set it and forget it. You have to be constantly looking inward. How do we find those bottlenecks? Where are the inefficiencies hiding? How do we make sure our way of working is actually, working?
Now, there are a couple of great ways to do this. You could use things like questionnaires and interviews. Just straight up ask the people on the ground, the engineers and managers, what's going well and what's not. Or if you want a much deeper look, you can do what's called an ethnographic study. That's where you actually observe the team in their natural habitat, like a fly on the wall, to see how work really gets done. And spoiler, it's often very different from how it looks on paper.
Watching and asking is great, but to really, truly improve, you need data. You need to measure things. But here's the trap. What do you measure? Because measuring everything is just as useless as measuring nothing. You need a framework to focus your efforts.
And that brings us to this simple but incredibly powerful tool, the GQM paradigm. It stands for goal, question, and metric. The whole idea here is to save you from drowning in useless data. You don't just measure stuff for the sake of it. No, you start with a clear goal. You come up with questions related to that goal, and then, only then, do you figure out the metrics that will actually answer those questions. And you can see how powerful this is right here. Look at the flow. It's a top-down approach. You start at the top with that high-level goal. Then you break that goal down into very specific questions. And only then, at the very bottom, do you define the exact metrics you need to collect. This creates this perfect, unbreakable link from your big picture strategy all the way down to the data points you're collecting every day. Let's make this super concrete. Let's say your goal is to improve software quality. Okay? A great question to ask would be, where are we finding most of the bugs during testing? The perfect metric to answer that is defect density, basically the number of defects you find in each part of the code. All of a sudden, you're not just guessing. You know exactly which parts of your system need the most attention. That's focused, actionable measurement.
All right, so we've evaluated the why, and we are analyzing the how. Now, for the final piece of our playbook, we need to get crystal clear on the what. What exactly is this system supposed to do from the user's point of view?
This is where we tackle one of the biggest project killers out there,
miscommunication. We need to turn all our high-level goals into a practical blueprint that everyone, from the developers all the way up to the CEO, can look at and say, yep, that's what we're building. We need a model.
And the perfect tool for this job is the use case diagram. It's a visual model, and its purpose is just beautifully simple. It describes what a system does by showing how users, or actors as they're called, interact with it to get something done.
And here's a perfect example. See? On the left, you've got your actor, the web customer. The big box in the middle, that's our system. And inside that box, those ovals represent everything the customer wants to do. View items, make a purchase, checkout. In one simple picture, everybody can see exactly what the system needs to do for that customer to be happy. It's brilliant.
So let's just lock in these three key parts so they stick. The actor is the who, the person or thing interacting with the system. The use case is the what that actor needs to do. And the system boundary, that box, defines what's inside our project and what's not. Getting these three things clear just vaporizes ambiguity and makes sure everyone is building the exact same thing.
And there you have it. Those are the essential plays for your software project playbook. It's not about finding one single magic bullet. It's about having a strategic, top-down approach that helps you ensure success at every single stage of the game.
Let's boil this entire thing down to a simple, powerful mantra. First, you evaluate the why. Is this project even worth doing? Then, you analyze the how. How can we make our process better and more effective? And finally, you model the what. What exactly should this system do for its users? The why, the how, and the what.
So, as we wrap this up, the real question isn't for me, it's for you. Whether it's setting up a real project evaluation process, using the GQM paradigm to focus your metrics, or drawing a use case diagram to get everyone on the same page, which of these tools are you going to put into practice? Because a playbook is only valuable when you actually use it to win. Thanks for tuning in.